Burton French.
It's all because I grew up in small town Texas. You adopt a certain way of life. Football on Friday, church on Sunday the way God intended it. That's right, it's in the Bible, the book of First Down. At my church, the First United Blessed Apostles of Righteousness, we knew if our football team lost on Friday, we were going to hell on Sunday. Now, I tried to be a good church member. In fact, when I learned that not everyone wanted to be called the First United Blessed Apostles of Righteousness, I suggested we change our name to Sainted Noble Apostles Fellowship United. But then a big fight broke out over whether we wanted to be FUBAR or snafu. I thought, well, maybe if I joined Toastmasters, I could really help out my church. But the pastor was none too pleased when I told him that his sermon on Beatitudes had 15 ums, 8 you knows, 2 sentence changes, and he didn't even use the word of the day. He was pretty sore at me, but I said, how about I use my considerable Toastmaster skills and speak to the congregation right before they pass the offering plate. You know, pry a few wallets loose. I had a brilliant idea. Since God the Father sounds a lot like Godfather, I told the congregation, you better put in your protection money. Because I'm not saying God's going to smite anybody. I'm just saying that sometimes people get smited. And even though I did double offerings that week, in retrospect, probably shouldn't have said that. I was on thin ice. But then I realized I could make it up to them because Christmas was right around the corner. So I was going to give them the best nativity they'd ever seen. I put it right in the center of town on the courthouse lawn. And I realized my attitude of permits, schmermits probably wasn't healthy. And maybe I shouldn't have borrowed all those mannequins from the local mall. Well, I call it borrowing. They say it's larceny. Potato, potato. I was going to give them back. They probably don't want them now. But to begin, I wanted to make sure that everyone knew the real reason for the season, which is why I had the 3 wise men beating up Santa Claus. Then I had a little drummer boy giving the elves a wedgie, although in retrospect, Rudolph and the Wood Chipper was probably in bad taste. But you have to admit, the animals I had were great, except, well, I live in small town Texas. The only thing I could find were cows. They're everywhere. And what is rustling, really? I learned a lot about cows. Lesson 1, they don't like being dressed up as sheep. Well, the Holy Family was there. I had Mary and Joseph staring lovingly at the baby Jesus, and I wanted everyone to hear that sweet babe's cry. Though in retrospect, I probably shouldn't have hooked him up to that giant subwoofer. I thought it was a joyful noise that set off car alarms in a 3-block radius. Oh, lesson 2, cows spook easily from loud noises. Lesson 3, they can produce a lot of manure on short notice. But at least they didn't stampede. Well, up next, I premiered The Angels. Being so close to New Year's, I had access to a lot of great fireworks. So I had my 2 angels, I strapped on some M5000 rockets, lit the fuse, they went up, and boom! That made the cows stampede. But really, like he who has not caused a 12-car pileup due to a herd of stampeding cattle cast the first stone. But as people were getting out of their cars and the police were arriving, I had a bigger audience. And this was the perfect time to unveil my Star of Bethlehem, powered by 3 dozen industrial-strength strobe lights, and next time I'll take those seizure warnings seriously. But EMS was arriving, a crowd of reporters was gathering, onlookers approached. I had my biggest audience yet, and this was when I unveiled my piece de resistance. These shepherds burning the innkeeper in effigy. That'll teach them not to have any room at the inn. Although, who knew that hay was so flammable? Although it wasn't a big fire, really, till it hit that layer of fresh manure, and in retrospect, maybe I shouldn't have put it so close to the courthouse. Now, I realize that I destroyed a 150-year-old historical building. But in my defense, I was just trying to make Christmas memorable, and that, Your Honor, is exactly what happened.